Clavering, Chair of the Drainage Committee. And of course, we appreciate you landowners, you residents that are here, learn about your drain. These drain projects that have been proposed. And tonight's meeting is a drain consideration meeting. It's about understanding. We're here to talk through the proposed drain design and how it might affect your property. Everyone in this room has a stake in a clear and accurate information, and we're fortunate to have the professionals here with us to provide that information. As we go through the discussion, let's keep things constructive and focused so everyone has a chance to be heard. And please feel comfortable asking questions so we can all leave much better informed. I'll ask you to turn off your phones or certainly put on vibrate, please, and thank you. And there is a microphone in the ceiling. It's quite sensitive, so it'll pick up any side conversations. You'll want to keep that in mind. So why don't we approach the first drain, which is the Toronto Street Drain, Thames Street East and Niagara Street East branch drains. If there's any pecuniary or conflict of interest, now's the time to declare that and potentially excuse yourself. Once again, this consideration meeting is to discuss the technical aspects of the drainage report in January 9th, 2026 for the Toronto Street Drain, Thames Street East and Niagara Street East branch drains. If there are any assessment or cost concerns, those will be addressed at the quarter revision. Allow me to introduce our staff and members of council that are here. Our Mayor Gary Atkinson, Deputy Mayor Nettie McEwen, Councillors Wolvette, Rodriguez, Basie, Ocean. We have our Drainage Coordinator Ryan Taming is here, CAO Adam Sabansky, Director of Public Works Paul De Silva, Deputy Clerk Lisa Smeekins, who's also our Drainage Clerk for tonight. We appreciate that. Mike Garrett's of M. Garrett's Consulting is a drainage engineer this evening on this particular part of the project, and also working with the Alex Morphin is here too for any technical questions. So we appreciate that. Just before I turn the floor over to Mr. Garrett's, our drainage superintendent is going to share a brief statement on drainage terms, what means what, why we are doing this, that type of thing. Please.
All right, thank you. So yeah, I just got a brief overview of maybe a little background on this project and a few drainage definitions that would be helpful as the discussion goes on. So this drain project, both the Toronto Street Drain and the Barnes Drain, are being done as part of the road reconstructions. This is similar to this road reconstructions that have been taking place in the town through the last few years. The drainage is being upgraded at the same time as the roads and the water mains, and the drainage portion of the works have been completed under the Drainage Act, and some of those costs assessed to landowners. So how a drain project begins is by a request from a landowner. So in this case, the town is a landowner, and we were like, the road requires drainage to last. The Barnes Drain is not a sufficient outlet for any drainage right now, so it needs improving. So following that, drains there are costs to landowners, and the town does work with landowners in that we offer payment plans, and we'll work to spread those costs out, and doesn't allow it to be paid at once. Generally, if the work is completed this year in 26, the billing will occur in 27. And the payment plan will be set up for years following that, potentially, if you need it. A few definitions you'll hear the word report said a lot. So the engineer's report is a document you received, is prepared by Michael Garrett's here. It becomes valid when it's passed by council through a bylaw, and that's what gives it status as a municipal drain underneath the Drainage Act. So the Toronto Street Drain already exists as a municipal drain. The Barnes Street Drain already exists as a municipal drain. Those have been, they have existing engineers' reports, and they exist in the eyes of the Drainage Act. You're going to hear potentially some talk about schedules of assessment. There's two kinds. There's for construction, which are the first set of schedules, and then you'll see a set of maintenance schedules. Maintenance schedules are for future costs when the drain needs maintenance. Those costs will be prorated as per the maintenance schedules. The first schedules you see are for the assessments of the works that are going to take place under the report. The last definition I just wanted to touch on was the drainage watershed. It's shown as the first drawing in the sets, and it's showing all the lands that use the drain as an outlet for their water and all the lands that will be involved in the project. So hopefully that might clarify a few things. It might just lead to some more questions.
Thank you, Mr. Temming. That
Hopefully that
helps a lot.
helps a little bit.
John, may I add to that, please?
Sure, sure.
Just so whoever, some of you have been here for numerous drainage reports, some of you have not. So the town of Plympton-Wyoming generally does not fund drainage through tax dollars. The only drainage that's funded through tax dollars would be the roads portion of the Drainage Act assessment. So we feel that's the most fair system because agricultural properties pay through the Drainage Act and our rural properties pay for the Drainage Act. And therefore you're not being double dipped. So you're not paying for drainage through your assessment under the drain. You are paying it through your assessment through the drain. You're not paying it through your tax dollars for personal drainage. It's just the roads that pays through tax dollars. So want to make sure everyone is aware of that everyone is assessed equally through this program. And the Drainage Act is great because you get a bigger voice. You get to share with council how you want to see the project move forward, which you can do tonight. And you get the opportunity to appeal your costs if you don't see them as fit, which you'll get to do next meeting. So I wanted to let everyone know that because the Drainage Act, although it seems a little out of the ordinary for some, is actually quite a useful tool in small town drainage.
Very good. I'll turn the floor now over to Michael Garrett from Garrett's Consulting, and he'll describe the technical dynamics of this drain.
Great. To the chair and to council and to landowners, this report was prepared under section 4 of the Drainage Act. It's a petition drain. The existing Toronto Street drain was constructed in 1968, and it outlets. It goes from Erie Street to Zone Street, where it outlets into the Stonehouse drain. The existing conditions, in the opinion of M. Garrett's Consulting, the proposed works will have very little effect on the Toronto Street drain, since the improvements are within the Toronto Street drain watershed. So there's been no changes to the Toronto Street watershed. We're just bringing in streets that would sheet flow into it or overland flow into it. We haven't added anything to it, so it doesn't have any detrimental effects to the Toronto Street drain. I say that because, like all drains in that direction, those drains have a lot of, there's a lot flowing into them, so they're at capacity. This won't make the drainage worse. And secondly, I don't think we could, even if it did, not let them come in because they're in the drainage. They've been in the drainage area for their existence of the drain, so they have the right to tie in. And we had an on-site meeting on December 16th in the town of Plympton-Wyoming. There were no landowners present at that time. After the meeting, I did have one call from a landowner on the drain, McCallum. He was out of town that day and couldn't make it from unexpected delays. So I reviewed the works on his property and he was fine with that. He told me still he has the right to any of his appeals or whatnot. He can come to council. But I did go through it with him and he seemed fine. There has been already some summaries on the project, so I'll keep my summary a bit brief. But as we said, the storm sewer is completed under the Drainage Act and not under a local improvement or a user pay or a local improvement. And when you work under the Drainage Act, it's a user pay system. So if your water drains into the drain, you're going to pay into that drain, your portion of it. So you've got two components to it. You've got a benefit. A benefit assessment is when you're physically able to, not if you do, but if you have the ability to connect to a drain through a lateral, like everyone that has a lateral on this drain has a benefit connection. And then the second component is outlet. An outlet is solely based on the area of your lot and as it goes through the drain. So we look at all the lots, we find out how much imperviousness is. Some of the bigger lots will have a lower rate because they don't put as much water into it. But the standard is that a road, because it's paved for every acre or hectare of road, they get assessed 4 times that amount in the Drainage Act. And then a gravel road would be 3 because it's more pervious, sorry. And then residential lots are typically 2. However, there's some big lots on this drain. And so we start to look at, the area of the roof. We look at whether it can be subdivided, because if things get subdivided in the future, then we have to look at how to deal with that as well. And then we also look at how much pavement is on the site. It's not uncommon, if you don't have a benefit connection, there are a couple people up by Ontario Street where they would have only an outlet assessment at the top. Oh, that's on the Barnes Drain, sorry, getting confused. Under this project, we're putting a branch drain up Thames Street, so for 95 meters east of Toronto Street, and we're also extending Niagara Street 85 meters east of Toronto Street. So in the report that you had, there was a watershed, and it shows the limits of the watershed, and in it there are black dots, and the black dots and squares are manholes and catch basins. So the pipe you can see goes up for 85 and 95 meters up the streets, and then there's catch basins, and each lot is given a service into that drain, which is the ST on what ST stands for on the drawing. The design was completed by BM Ross and Associates, and it's designed to the 2-year storm design flow, which is what the other streets in Plympton-Wyoming have designed to as well. All the survey and storm sewer designs, watershed limits have been prepared by BM Ross and are incorporated into this report. The estimated cost is $171,190, which includes engineering fees, but does not include the work beyond the preparation of the report, such as inspection during construction. The assessment of the drain's been assessed with 62% of the costs. That's any section 26 benefit assessments, section 26 assessments, and a 38% assessment as an outlet assessment based on equivalent hectares. Each lot was given a benefit assessment for connection of $2,800, and the rationale behind that is it's the cost to get the service to the property, and it can deal with the frontages, but it's typically now it's been limited to how to get to the front of from the sewer to your property line, but you do have a benefit across your property. Benefit works on frontages, but we go back and I start to look at the whole drain, and I came up with a $2,800 benefit assessment, and that's pretty typical for residential lots right now. They can be as high as 3,000. I think if you look historically in the town of Plympton-Wyoming, they're slowly going up, but that's not that much more than they were a couple of years ago. The additional cost to work within the road allowance is a section 26 assessment to the road authority, and to work around the utilities typically would be a section 26 assessment to utilities. However, since this is all part of a bigger project, we found that gas and telephone, they kind of just get lumped into the project, and we don't break them out into the Drainage Act on this. Normally we would, that's what the Act tells us to do it, but they're out there locating stuff for everything. And to go and say you're going to locate one gas line or whatnot, or a telephone line, it doesn't work. So we've done that in all projects that are urban improvements. Allowances. So for this project, all the work is within the road allowances, so there are no allowances provided to landowners. And then there's a maintenance schedule in the report, construction specifications in the report, and plan and profile in the report. I'm available to answer any questions about the drain.
Thank you very much. Received any question?
There was no written correspondence.
So now is your opportunity, folks, to ask questions on any of the panel. Get you to raise your hand if you have any questions or comments, and introduce yourself, please. Just for the record, we are on YouTube channel.
I was just gonna say,
And your name and friend?
yeah, I'm Mike.
Thanks, Mike.
I just received this paperwork on the 21st. What I've written notice was due on 21st. So,
Well, if you're
just so you know,
Sure,
it's,
sure.
it was absolutely to.
Sure. Would you like to share something? You can.
No, I'm just gonna listen right now. I just wanted to.
Fair enough.
That.
Yeah.
Due on the 21st, I received it on the.
Fair enough. Yes. Yeah, we have a question over here, sir.
Hi, my name's Tom Moore. I live
Thanks,
at
Tom.
498 Ontario Street, so it's the very end of, I'm gonna guess, the Barnes Drain where that begins on your project.
This is for, I know, yeah, we'll get into the Barnes Drain next. We're only focusing only on.
You're not dealing with it all as one project, okay?
No, it's two separate projects because we had it originally as one project, but then they're two separate drains, so we've broke them up into two. So we'll just get through the Toronto Street and then we'll get into the Barnes.
Is there any other questions on this particular drain project at this point, or any comments? I'll open it up to council. Any questions? The first drain? Council?
Nothing.
Councilor Van Calvert.
Yes,
I would just say, Mike, if you want to call me, like I live pretty close, I'll run in, even if it's after hours, to come and see if you have any questions about this one. Obviously, you're on the next drain too.
Okay.
But-
Yeah, I do have some questions about the outlet and stuff but I didn't think we are talking about, because there's quite a difference between outlet prices, because I have 3 properties.
Yeah.
There's quite a difference.
There is, yeah, definitely. So on this drain, the outlet is based on the benefit on the drain and put into equivalent hectares. On your other drain, sometimes you've got a property where if a property splits into a branch drain and a main drain. So if you have a property that's fronting onto a branch drain and a main drain, you'll be assessed into the branch drain and the main drain. And that's why your outlet assessment would be higher than if you're just on the main drain. And then will be a little bit different. Your one outlet, if you're on a corner, your outlet will be different, definitely. And I can get into that. That's more on the Barnes drain that had happened on the Toronto Street drain. It didn't happen so much except for the right at the front lots that butt onto Toronto Street.
Okay, I'll maybe give you a call and.
Might be easier to go over with you and just bring it and show you what I did, because there's a whole bunch of different areas in the report. And you can see your area will change, and that's how your outlet is. If you actually take the equivalent hectare, those outlets should be similar, although you have to look whether you're on a branch or just the main drain.
very good. So I'm not seeing any other questions or any hands up at this point. Councilor Rodriguez?
So because the gentleman just received his notice and really didn't have time to do anything, and then you're gonna have some subsequent discussions, but we're gonna approve this and then it won't matter, like. I'm just a little bit, wanna understand that.
Sure. Do you want to speak to that?
Sure, probably the subsequent connections are dealing with costs, I assume, right? Right, looking at the technical, so the technical design gets passed today, assessment costs would be at the next meeting. So to pass it today wouldn't affect they can still appeal their assessments.
It's sometimes hard to speak with, because typically the reports go out very good time. And I hate to dish Canada Post, but it's the reality that sometimes there's some holdups there, but I don't
I got
know.
my mail every day, so
Sure.
it wasn't me not going to the post.
Oh, I can, no, I sure did. But yeah, yes.
So, we'll confirm the date that it went out, but normally it does go out with sufficient time. And again, I don't want to say anything, it's either, but I don't know when everyone else received their reports.
So I get one out on the 16th, but
Then or after.
stamp says.
It was either the 21st or after the 21st.
Okay.
We'll look into that.
Yeah. Well, I have a motion here. Actually, I neglected again signed. I'm gonna get them to sign that for you. This one, turn in. Switch them up. Very much. Okay. I have a motion here signed by Councillor Wolvette and Deputy Mayor McEwen. Report by Mike Barrett's engineer of M. Garrett's Consulting Incorporated, dated January the 9th, 2026, regarding Toronto Street drain, Thames Street East and Niagara Street East branch drains be adopted as presented, and that the provisional bylaw 10 of 2026 be taken as having been read a first and second time, and the mayor and clerk be authorized to sign the said bylaw according. All in favor? Carried. Another motion signed by Deputy Mayor McEwen and Councillor Bob Wolvette that the consideration meeting for the Toronto Street drain, Thames Street East, Niagara Street East branch drains be adjourned. Favor? It's carried. Much. Okay. Everybody's coming or going at this point, so I appreciate that. It's our second public meeting here, a consideration meeting for the Burns Drain 2025 and associated beach drains. If there's any near interest or conflict, now is the time to declare that, please. The subject again of this consideration meeting is to discuss the technical aspects of the drainage report dated January 9th, 2026 for the Barnes Drain 2025 and associated branch drains. If there are any assessment or cost concerns, those will be addressed at the quarterly revision. Allow me to introduce council and staff. Members of council are Mayor Mary Atkinson, Deputy Mayor Nettie McEwen, Councilors Wolvette, Rodriguez, Vasey, and Bojan. Our CAO Adam Sabansky, Drainage Coordinator Ryan Tamming, Director of Public Works Paul De Silva, and our Deputy Treasurer, or pardon me, our Deputy Clerk, Lisa Smeekins, and our engineer on this report again is Mr. Garrett's, and we also have Alex Murphin here from BM Ross, who is available to answer any technical questions as well. At this point, I'll turn it over to Mr. Garrett's, and he'll provide a summary of this drain. Mr. Garrett's.
Thank you. Through the chair to council and to landowners. So this report's been prepared under section 4 of the Drainage Act and section 78. The Thames Street branch drain and Niagara Street branch drains are new drains, so they're completed under section 4. The Barnes drain is an existing drain that was established in 1943, and it's an improvement to the Barnes drain, which is completed under section 78 of the Act, both within the same report. The existing reports in this drain, so W. Bartlett, prepared a report dated January 2019. The report included a detailed history of the Barnes drain under his drainage needs study for the village of Wyoming. And I appended that in the report because there was a lot of work went into that. And I was going to either reiterate it in my report, but it was easier to just put Will's. And I talked to Will, obviously, before I did that. But he had a way of articulating, he put a lot of effort and thought into it. On top of that, there was still the existing reports that we'd go through that were touched or have been touched. So the drain was constructed in 1943 by W. McGeorge. In 1970, and it was for the construction of the Barnes drain. In 1971, Monteith prepared a report. The report was for installing a new drain at the edge of the urban boundary north of the rail line and for deepening the drain south of the rail line. T.W. Graham prepared a report in 1989 for the realignment of the Barnes drain to the urban boundary south of the rail line and realigning the Barnes drain 1943 within the road allowances north of the rail line. They did do that, but there was still one section that bisected across the Purdom lands and a little piece of the last owner at 491 on Main Street that was improved under the Silver Springs. So most of that drain under that 1989 report was taken out of the private properties and put into the road allowances, but not all of it. And then Josh Warner prepared a report dated March 2025 for incorporating the Radcliffe Silver Springs Phase 1 design drawings. We had a site meeting on December 16th. 4 landowners were present. After the meeting, F. Brooks, is Mrs. Brooks here today?
No, she's not.
So I did talk to Mrs. Brooks and I told her I would address her concerns. She has appended a letter, but I did talk to her before this meeting. So after the meeting, Mrs. Brooks contacted me to discuss the drainage on her lands. And I informed her that we were going to be scheduling a meeting to go over this with herself and 2 other landowners that were affected by the drain, meaning they're affected because the drain was either going to be onto their land or the drain went through their land in case of the private yards. So because a lot of the people weren't at the site meeting, I'll quickly go through what was said at the site meeting to bring people up to date. As previously said, the storm sewer is being completed under the Drainage Act. It's a user pay system, so if your lands drain into it, you will be assessed for using the drain through a benefit or an outlet. And as I said, the benefit is the actual connection to the drain, and the outlet is for when your water travels through the drain. And if you're on, in this case, if you're on a branch drain, you're going to be assessed for your water that goes to the branch drain, and then you're also going to be assessed your portion, the same as everyone else on the main drain. And the reason for that is everyone dumps into drains. So the drain before this was the Toronto Street drain, and if we just said, well, it's only one big project, and you're going to have one assessment for the whole watershed, both branch drains and the main drain, then people that dump in from a street into the main drains are gonna end up paying more because they're paying on their branch drain, and then they're still gonna pay on the Toronto drain. So we always keep these separate. In this case, there's lots at every corner that kind of have portions going in every direction. Certainly at the end of Niagara Street, those lots there have water that goes in multiple directions, some surface, some subsurface. At the top of Ontario, some of it wraps around and eventually comes in through Thames Street. Where was it now? Yeah, so that's the rationale for the benefit and the outlet. And then the Barnes drain. So under this report, we're extending a pipe. And it's important to note that the Barnes drain's there, right? There is a drain there since 1943. So all landowners, whether you like it or not, are in the watershed, because at some point, even if the lands were agricultural, the landowner at the time of the report in 1943 agreed to this drain. And as it gets subdivided and broken up and developed and moved, these reports go through and people accept it, much like today. When this report gets accepted, it goes on. It's not registered, but it's on your property. They don't go away. We have drains that we still use from the 1890s. They're still a legal document, but the important here is that drain watershed was established in 1943. It's been improved, but it was there. So landowners have always been on the drain. Whether people knew it or not, I don't think people understand, because there's not really, like when you buy your house, you don't get a slip in the mail that says, hey, you're on a drain. It's just there, and people find out when we have these meetings. But anyway, the Barnes drain extends from Ontario Street down to Niagara Street, and then it cuts along Niagara Street, and then it cuts through the Prudhoe lands. It heads to what was put in as part of the Silver Springs development at 491. There's a pipe that was put in, and it dumps into that pipe, and then it makes it to Main Street. It goes from Main Street into the stormwater management pond. Then it goes down south, and eventually it outlets in the Stonehouse drain. And so for landowners here, there has been work on the Stonehouse drain. So you may have received assessments already for work that could have been done in Enniskillen, because the Stonehouse drain goes into Enniskillen. And if you're upstream and your water goes through it, you will be assessed. Granted, the assessments probably I don't know what they were, but they wouldn't be as big because it's an open ditch. But more importantly, there's a bigger area and everyone pays their outlet, but you will be assessed for your work downstream until it finally hits a water course and is out of the municipal drains. And even if it got out of the municipal drain and went through, like Bonnie Doon Creek, there's a section in that's not a municipal drain, you can still get picked up at the tail end of it. If your water goes through a drain, regardless of how it gets there, you will be assessed. And then on top of this, we have the branch drain. So we have a branch drain going on Thames Street and Niagara Street in each direction, servicing the lands north and south of the street. And then we have done some minor improvements to the Prudhoe lands, which are down where it cuts across the private lands. BM Ross would prefer to give an access that's straight across the property, rather, because right now it's going on an angle. So the culvert goes on an angle, and there's many reasons why they want to do it. First of all, we'd like a straight access culvert, but also there's cover issues on that property. And then because of that, we're going to realign the drain, a very minor realignment just to catch the end of the culvert and bring it back into that drain. We're not rebuilding the drain on the Prudhoe lands. There will be some grading, because we have to do grading to make sure it doesn't lay low. And that drain didn't work well before today, so there could have been a maintenance request. The landowner wasn't going to work. They could have asked for maintenance, and we would have been doing it anyway. But now BM Ross has just incorporated it into their drain report to clean it up. And by cleaning up, we're talking like 4 or 6 inches of dirt to make sure it leaves the culvert and makes it back into the swale and doesn't sit and pool on the property, which would have been done through maintenance anyway. So we're just tying it into this, hopefully to get a better price on it. And then, as I said before, especially at the end of Niagara Street, you've got some properties there that are going to utilize the Niagara Street branch drain, but also their surface water will wrap around and hit that open channel of the old 1943 drain. So then you have to start breaking their assessments out. But this is why the assessments don't all look the same. It depends where your land is and where your water is going. So after the meeting, I did talk to Mrs. Brooks, and she did have a letter that she had sent in. I believe was attached to the addenda. I'm not sure what you call that, but I believe you have it. But I did talk to her, and I said, I can read the letter, or we can talk and I can find out what the real issues are that you want addressed. And so from my discussions with her, she really wants that HDP pipe to be exposed. So BM Ross went out there and it was frozen and she couldn't, they couldn't open it, so they couldn't see it. And at the time of the Ontario Street, the contractor, I believe the contractor said it was abandoned, but the old Barnes drain didn't go to Erie Street. It's not there. People thought it might be there, but they didn't abandon it. But what I said to Mrs. Brooks is when we go down and we start construction, we'll pop the lid. It's got to be there. If it's not there, then there's a problem. But Alex has been there. Alex knows it's there. So we'll pop it, but the landowner has to feel comfortable. And then the second the second concern was that Mrs. Brooks feels that there's water coming off McKay Park and sheet flowing across onto her lands. And then of course it doesn't want to get into the drain. And so she's asked if no work's being constructed, she'd like to monitor it, but she's also asking the town to consider maybe grading or improving something to get the water that was shedding off McKay Park into the drain. So that's outside of the scope of this project, but it is a concern that I told her I'd bring to council and bring forward. So there's also that appended letter, which I didn't feel I needed to address after I talked to her. I think the adjacent landowner, maybe they're here. She does talk with their landowner as well, to the east, because they are both on the Barnes drain still. So when the Royal Lee did it, they probably cut the Barnes drain off, which just reduces the amount of water in it. But when we got any of these drains, like they're old, right? The old drains they're plugged, they're old, they're just under capacity. So they're not taking a lot of water. So this improvement will give better outlet for everyone on the drain. BM Ross was retained by the town of Plympton-Wyoming to complete the improvements to the barn drain, reconstruction of Thames Street, reconstruction of Niagara Street. RDOB and Engineering completed the closed drain on 491 Main Street as part of the Radcliffe subdivision. And then I completed a site visit in September of 2025 to review everything with BM Ross and the town of Plympton-Wyoming. The design was completed by BM Ross and Associates. The proposed drain improvement includes a pipe the pipe was designed to the 2-year design storm, so it goes from Ontario Street all the way down to Niagara Street. And it actually is extended, so we're also putting the drain all the way straight down the alleyway, all the way to Main Street, and then down Main Street, and it connects in front of 491 Main Street. So we still have that branch A drain, which is the part that goes across the Prudhoe lands, because we can capture a lot of this flows in this drain, but it's a big watershed, and we only take the 2-year flow. So when we have overland flows, we can't get rid of the overland flow route. So the 1943 drain, which becomes the Barnes Branch A drain under this report, is still there for overflow. And it flows into that 450 millimeter culvert by 491 Main Street. And then it ties into the Main Street sewer. So it kind of just does it's a straight line all the way down the alleyway, but we still can't get rid of the branch drain. And we still have obviously the new branch drains on Thames Street and Niagara Street. I did talk with Mr. Latham. Originally, we had a CB on his lands, and he installed the CB on his lands when he built this house, and then he tied it into the drain. There's nothing wrong with that. That's why we have the drain. But under this project, as some people may wonder why he's getting allowances and why we're working on his property, we are going to go through the fence, connect to his manhole. So we're going to pay him and restore his fence, and we're going to clean it up, bring a new pipe into our new catch basin, which is on the alley side, and then we're going to leave that. So in the future, we don't have to go and work on Mr. Latham's land. It's servicing only his lands, but it is a low point, so we do need to collect the water, but it's a way to just stay out of the lands in the future. So Mr. Latham would have allowances on the drain. There's an estimated cost prepared in the amount of $544,654, which includes engineering fees, but does not include the work beyond the preparation of the report. The assessment 61% of the cost less than any section 26 assessments as a benefit assessment, and 39% of the cost as an outlet assessment based on equivalent hectares. Benefit assessment of $2,800, which is the same as the Toronto Street drain, has been assessed to all private abutting landowners, regardless of the number of connections they have. The assessments include the cost of connecting the storm sewer from the landowner's lot line to the drain, plus any extra benefit for coming along the road. The additional work within the road allowance has been assessed as a section 26 assessment to the road authority. And again, the utilities were not assessed because it is a bigger project where there's a lot of work with utility companies to get this to work for the roads, for the sewer, and the curb and gutter, everything. So I didn't break it out on this one. We haven't broken them out in the past. So That's just standard for the urban projects. Detailed allowances are made in the report. So we have a section 29, a section 30, and in this case, a section 31 allowance. The section 31 allowance is when we incorporate a drain. So 491 Main Street, doesn't matter who owned it at the time, someone put a brand new pipe in there across the property. And so I had a hard time saying, you know, you need to pay your $2,800 for that pipe because they just put it in. So then I look at it, and this is not uncommon. Then I would look and say, okay, because I still want to assess you as a benefit because we're doing a report, but then I give you an offsetting allowance of $2,800 for that pipe. It's hard to assess someone. There's a brand new pipe that was put in by the owner of that property at the time, the $28 connection fee. So the lit off lands will get a $2,800 allowance. There's maintenance specifications included in the report, construction specifications in the report, and plan and profile deal drawings in the report. And I'm available to answer any questions from the council or landowners.
Well, thank you, Mr. Garretts, for that very thorough, comprehensive report. Probably eliminated all the questions in the room.
Yeah.
Well, we did have a question over here, sir.
Well, I'm the Tom, we're from 498 Ontario Street. I'm the south neighbor of Mrs. Brooks. So the opposite side of the street. Yes, McKay Park does flood our properties. Yes, the road entirely floods the ditch and half of my yard when I have a rainstorm. I note from this, and you just brought it up, that you're allowing allowances for pipes. I know that my neighbor to the south, Colin, and I both installed the drain pipe you're going to connect to in that ditch section.
So you
Just so
I don't understand, you installed the drain?
the black pipe that you were intending to connect to existing 200 mil HDP tile to proposed municipal barns drain. That was installed by both myself and Colin Orange. And yes,
Deeper than.
yeah, no, but this is what everyone, sorry, I'm new to Wyoming, so those that have been here forever know where it is. When I moved here, I was told that was the barns drain. I've always referred to it. It's not, it's just a ditch beside my house. The ditch beside my house with the big 200 mil pipe in it, I had the town approve it a number of years ago. We installed it, Colin moved in. He installed his section, just letting you know that you're going to be tying into not something the municipality put in. Secondly, at the north end of that, south side of Ontario Street, there is a water, what's it called, Adam? We called it something that snoop that blows the water off the road into my yard.
It's a concrete curb spillway.
Okay, concrete spillway. Will it be maintained and will you continue to use my yard as a swale?
I can maybe answer a little bit of that. So there's a lot there. So again, the road flooding onto you, is because those catch basins there at that intersection are still connected to the old barns drain, right? So now they're not tied into anything.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Right?
Adam and I had very long conversation in my yard one day when we were putting that spillway in. We had the discussion, could it go in? Would I raise a ruckus? No, let's get the water off the road. It's a safety hazard. Let's do the right thing. It had water in the ditch for years, but now it's become more abundant simply because the east and the west ends of Ontario Street drain to my low point. So all those things considered, I understand, I'm all in favor of improving the drain. I wanted the gentleman to know that that pipe is installed by Colin and I. Two, I just want to know whether or not you're going to be maintaining the spillway into my yard and if you're going to, when you build a ditch, create a swale.
Maybe Alex can answer that one.
When you say connecting to the pipe, I'm talking about the pipe, is that 200 that we are.
Yes.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
it's the one near the road on Ontario Street, right?
No, the one in the middle of the yard.
The middle of the yard.
Sure you can. 100%. So here it says connect to existing 200 mil. Here, this is my house, that's my drain pipe.
So we're gonna connect your pipe into, not, so that pipe that you have existing, we're gonna connect them to the new part, right? So you will discharge into the part.
You do realize that if you connect both ends of that pipe, all that you've created is a circle.
No, the barns drain is gonna go all the way down to Main.
I understand that, sir. However,
Okay.
My house, my neighbor's house.
So
The black pipe runs from that point
Yeah.
to that point.
Okay,
So you're gonna connect here and here. So it doesn't drain anything. It just creates a circle that goes to the barn drain. The water
Okay.
does a big circle.
so so there's a black pipe that comes out all the way to Thames. Is that the one that we're talking?
It doesn't come all the way to Thames. It stops about, how many feet short are you, Colin?
That's about 15 feet.
15 feet
Yeah,
short. So
so somewhere.
this
here on the
pipe
side.
goes from my
Okay,
house
yeah.
to his house.
Okay, so that means that it's, so if we wanna connect something for you. So do you
But-
have another catch basin there that we can? connect? Nothing?
No,
Okay,
but
so-
all that I wanted to do was is that to have my yard back and not have water
Okay.
laying all over. So my question to you
Yeah.
is that if you're gonna fill the rest of the ditch anyways.
Yeah.
A
Why,
section of it, yeah.
yeah, why go to the extra bother of connecting these two ends of a black pipe to the extra cost to the town? And all that you could basically do is cap them.
Oh, we can, yeah, so.
I don't know if Colin's in favor of that, but I mean, I'm looking at this going, this is absolutely ridiculous. We're gonna create a circle in the middle of the drain that the water's gonna flow through.
So now that you're giving us that information, it's something that we don't know because it was, that black pipe is probably inside your property. So we did do an investigation. I know you remember, probably like last year around, or a year ago, there was an investigation. They went there and they broke the barn drain in some spots.
Yeah,
And then they tried to put a camera to it,
Right.
right? There was, it's as you.
Yeah, no, the barn drain is complete. All that I'm really trying to find out is A, what are you, the setting says is that you're existing, gonna tie into two pipes and create a big circle in the middle of the barn drain. And two, are you gonna use my yard as a swale? So it certainly sounds like my yard's gonna maintain to be a swale. We'll have to do that discussion about what we're gonna do about the catch basin to take the water off the road
The one in Ontario Street.
on Ontario Street. I think Colin and I have to have a conversation before he hits me, before we cap this thing.
Well, I don't think you want to cap a pipe ever. If you cap a pipe and you don't know what's in it, we don't cap them. We connect all pipes. It won't make a circle. It's gonna go down, but we'll connect any pipe we hit. We cap unless we video it. Unless you're 100, you'd never cap a pipe unless you're 100% sure there's nothing in it, because then someone's basement's gonna flood, something's gonna, to have a pipe that, an old pipe that went north-south, connected into the drain twice, it doesn't matter, right? It just drains, it just outlets into the drain, and it all goes to Main Street, right? So like, I know people, when the drain doesn't work good, and this happens, then things back up because there's no capacity in the drain. So the water will not, it doesn't have, it takes forever to go out. But when the drain works, things are gonna start flowing. When you start cutting people off, the town will take a big risk unless they know 100% that it's not connected.
Well. I'm not trying to argue, but there's only two people here who put it in and only.
Sure.
Who put nothing into it.
I mean, if you have a video, you could look at it. We did it on Toronto or
And it
on.
doesn't matter to me. If you
Hackett.
wanna tie into it,
Well, it's just that,
have at it. I'm just trying to bring up a point that, and you don't think it's a problem or a cost, do it. But I guess this gentleman and I need to have a talk about whether or not my yard's gonna be a swale.
just so the town or everyone's understands on where Beth Hackett is, we did that. There was a piece that we crossed multiple times. And the town videoed every inch of that pipe before we cut it off. At least that's what I remember. Yeah, because we didn't want to cut it off. You cut it off and you don't know if 2 streets over, someone's gonna have water backing up.
All right, are we able to address his comment about yard being?
The standing water in the yard.
No. There's a drain that comes off the road into my
Oh,
yard,
the spillway.
the spillway.
Yeah, that's outside of the drainage act, but we should address it. We can address it. You're right.
We're gonna fill the ditch. Right?
Well, the town does have an alley there, correct?
That's okay.
So right now, for example, so the manhole that is there, the catch basin manhole that is near your property. That one, when the water comes in, even from the curb and then from the other catch basin, it's trying to discharge it into the existing barn drain, which is, I think, a 200 clay pipe that it's all plugged. And that's why that manhole fills up with water and comes out spilling from the top and from the road. So.
And I completely understand that, sir.
We're gonna put a 600 pipe connecting from there to our manhole and the next one. So that will improve a lot of the.
It'll improve capacity, but it won't improve drainage. So I completely understand. I'm all in favor of the barn drain. All of my question is that I had some quiet conversations when we put the spillway in, when we continued to divert all the water to my yard. We're gonna fix it in anticipation. I waited for this meeting. Now it's part of the project, as much as it's not part of the Barnes project, right, so that it is part of the project, because you're gonna fill the ditch. The ditch presently takes the overflow capacity that comes from McKay Park and the road that ends up in my yard. If you fill the ditch, it now means all of that capacity is roaring down the swale into my backyard and into my home. It already floods 2 or 3 times a year now since we did this, tolerated it. I'm just trying to get an answer of what we're gonna do about this.
So your rear yard is lower than the high level of our water that goes into the full drain swale. And you want to make sure that
Well, once you fill the ditch,
in your basement,
once you fill the ditch,
your backyard is not increased or preferably decreased.
right, and they're gonna be doing elevation grading in the back where they're putting in the new drain. So now we're gonna create that as another high part away from my yard. I'm not against it. It's been like this since the house was built. I'm sure of it. It's just in recent years, water has been diverted to the yard and it floods. It's part of this project. I'd like it, at least an answer.
Well,
Yes, Mr. DeSilva.
Yeah, through the chair, just a question for BM Ross. Can we either A, eliminate the spillway there because it won't really be needed anymore because we'll have capacity in the drain? And B, if not, can we put a catch basin in that location to intercept the water before it goes on to Mr. Moore's property?
Well, a catch basin, between the catch basin manhole that's existing right now.
Correct. The catch basin manholes in the road.
Yeah, in the road. And then after that, 10 meters to the south, we're gonna put a new manhole. We could have that one to be a catch basin manhole as well. And then, after that area going south, there's gonna be some filling, but it's still gonna have a low point. Probably, I was looking at it, probably like at the edge of, pretty much at the end of your property, backyard of your property. That's what the low point of, when I say low point, it's not.
It's just a low point between the two streets, and I get all that,
Yes.
and I get that. I don't believe that it's viable or an intelligent decision to cap that spillway. The way that the road was reconstructed is that both the east and the west ends flow to that point. The curb's this high. Well, in a rainstorm, I've got water pouring over the top of the curb. Okay, so the spillway's not taking it, the curb is just erupting and it's filling the ditch. So unless the town wants to re-engineer how they redesign the road, I don't think it's a smart solution. Unless you're gonna put a catch basin at the bottom of the spillway in an attempt to divert it. But then you're just gonna overload the capacity. My question is just like, if we're going to address this and we're gonna do the Barnes drain, and that's a foregone conclusion at some point. What's the solution to all of this additional water that was routed through the open ditch?
so if I could say, I think this improvement is the solution to that, right? Like is there not a basin in the riprap at the end of the spillway?
There's a catch basin, after the rip, 10 meters away, we're gonna put another catch basin there because that pipe's gonna go in a diagonal. That catch basin, that manhole can be a catch basin manhole with a perforated lid. That will serve as an extra catchment for that area. So what we're doing is even a little bit further that we're putting a couple catch basins in the boulevard or well, in the municipal alley.
Yep.
So that
Perfect.
water is supposed to be going into, so there's gonna be a big pipe, 600 to 750
Perfect.
compared to the.
Then Mr. De Silva's comment, take the spillway out, cut it out. And fill the ditch level. If you're confident that your catch basins are gonna collect this additional water, then cut the spillway out. That's what I'm understanding. Cut the spillways out, replace the curbing.
And we'll go from there.
If you're confident that your catch basin, which is going to be above the grade of what you're gonna fill, will capture the water, then please do so. I'm all in favor of Mr. De Silva's thing, cut the spillway out. I don't think it's an intelligent decision, but if you're confident, go ahead.
Through the chair. I think that we can certainly position a catch basin, whether it be storm manhole or G or a subsequent or a supplementary catch basin in that area to capture the water under normal conditions. But like, as Mike said, this is designed to a 1 and 2 year storm. We can't design for a 100-year storm. So if that system surcharges, we're gonna see some water.
No, and 100%, I agree with that, but this is an annual.
I think this is,
Annually, I've sent Adam in the past photos annually of that ditch overflowed. So it's not a 100-year storm, it's not an occasional, it's a summer downburst in August.
and I think.
I'm comfortable with whatever the solution is, but I'm not hearing the solution.
Okay, the catch basin that's in that road right now was tied into the old
Barn strength
drain, which does, we know it's,
doesn't work.
Have the
We're
capacity.
putting a giant 2-foot pipe in, yep.
now it's gonna be tied into the new 2-foot pipe.
Right.
So I don't think under normal circumstances, still gonna have that problem. I just wanted to put the caveat in there. If we get a tremendous amount of rain, you know, we have problems all over the place.
No problem. So then I would fully support taking the spillway out, if that's the intent. And we'll all work from there. I have a good working relationship with Adam that I call him and he dreads my phone call.
When I spoke much on the first phase of this project.
Yes, we came to a reconciliation and solutions for the project. This has been an accommodation since we put it in. I lived with the drama till this point.
As the swale and everything associated around it's more part is going to be just as much part of the road project as the drain itself. I think it probably easiest for yourself with Paul and possibly Josh who will be on the site inspecting and Alex to kind of meet on site and really explain how they're going to get everything to flow. That way you've got a better level of comfort on what their plans are and they can understand your concerns a little bit better.
Perfect. I think from my standpoint, that's a better understanding.
And it won't really reflect what we're voting on tonight.
No.
The pipe is gonna stay the same, the catch basin is gonna be the same.
I just came to comment because it's part of the drawings that we received, ditch filled in, pipes tied in. That was my,
Well, like we said, when you agree to this report, you buy it, so you better like what you buy. So, you know what I mean? It's good. That's why we have the meeting, but it doesn't seem like, I mean, there's a lot of yard grading that goes on too after the construction, so. I mean, there is the alleyway and there are catch basins in the alleyway to collect the water, it just, I make sure it gets.
Very good discussion, good back and forth. Is there any other questions? Anybody else like to comment? Drain? Anybody? Yes.
I might have missed it, but because you do talk very fast, okay? But is Ms. Brooks' problem going to be alleviated this way?
I believe so. Well, part of it, she wanted to bring it forward to council could hear it. I can't speak on whether council's gonna address it, but the part was a contractor told her they cut it off. This black pipe that went north. Of course, if you open the catch basin and it's not there, then you have a problem because everyone knows it's there. But Alex, you've seen it. But you know, you can't go and look at, like, some people don't know what they're looking for, or they didn't open it up knowing that they had to open it up, and then of course it was winter. But we'll go there in the spring, and we'll open the lid, and if it's not there, then it's a problem, but it will be there. So that part is okay. It was more about the McKay.
Answered my question.
It's not, yeah, it's more about McKay Park that your other issue.
It's for this, like back several years ago. I remember complaining about it then, and
We
so.
had the discussion during the first phase of this project.
Right.
Yeah, 6 years ago.
You have to remember you're tying into so that is terrible. Alex could probably, that's a terrible connection right now. Alex can probably talk about it. It's got reverse grades, it's tying into something that's under capacity, and now we're taking it all out and putting a big pipe in.
Just can't do this.
The Yeah, the old drain, the pipe that may or may not be under
Yeah.
the property owner's property is an abandoned drain. It's a private drain, so
No.
it's nothing we could necessarily do about
The
it.
drain that belongs to her or belongs to the town?
It belongs to no one anymore. It's been abandoned through legislation many years ago. All we can do is make sure that we're providing it a better outlet, which finishing this drain will do. Because right now all the water rushes down towards Tom's. It sits there. That little pipe has nowhere to go. So everything slows right down. And it's gonna go, once this drain is in, you're going from a very small, old, probably fractured and full of root pipe to a larger one, which will draw this waterway much faster. So it should alleviate that problem. As far as the grading issue goes, Public Works manages the Parks Department. They can have a look, and if there is unusual sheet flow that is adversely affecting the adjacent properties, they can have a look to see if there's a solution that can be carried.
Okay, since I'm on the Parks Committee, I will bring it up with the Parks Board.
Yeah, through the chair, just for context, Ryan and I have already discussed this. We are gonna do some surveying in the spring, confirm grades, and if there's a problem with McKay Park, we'll come up with a solution.
Thank you.
Mhm.
I won't bring it up then.
Any other questions on council? Yes.
Thank you. I just have one. You were talking about a lot of stuff that was like, woo. But we were talking about these benefiting drains tying into the main drain.
Yeah.
We benefit from the main drain.
Well, you have a benefit, so branch drains have a benefit on the branch drain, and then they're an outlet on the main drain. They're also an outlet on the branch drain, so your benefit is when you physically connect to the drain, and everyone that connects to the drain gets a benefit assessment.
So normally, the costs are all shared by the drain that you're working.
Well, they're assessed out drain yet.
I'm still trying to understand, is there charged for it then tying into the main drain? I mean, all drains tie into each other.
Well, they're assessed their benefit connection. There's only one benefit connection, and then they are assessed an outlet assessment on the main drain. So they will,
Outlet or two outlet
well,
assessment?
they'll have an outlet on the branch drain and an outlet on the main drain. Like, because you can't, every drain is a separate piece of the pie. If you start to take away drains, then the people adjacent on the other parts of Wyoming would say, if I was there, I'd be like, well, why? They're getting a deal because they've got a branch drain, but they're only paying for one main drain. I've got a branch drain, I gotta pay on my branch drain, and I gotta pay on the Toronto Street drain. So if you're living on Toronto Street, you're paying for your branch drain, but if they improve Toronto Street, you're gonna pay on Toronto Street as well. And if you live on the branch drain on the Barnes drain, if I just did it as one project, then you're giving, it's too much of a give one way, right? It's not fair to everyone.
I guess when you're doing work on the main, isn't that when you would assess an outlet? Why are you assessing an outlet when you're not?
Well, we're working on both.
Right on.
Right? We're putting branch drains up the streets and doing the main drain at the same time.
Okay, that's what I was trying to get clarification.
Oh, sorry.
Any other questions on council? Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Chair, through you to our committee, do we have a timeline when our target is gonna be once everything's, the wheels are down? Are we looking at this summer?
Yes, we'd be looking at tendering it in the very near future and going to construction this summer, fall, and then building would take place in 2027. It's the planned timeline.
Okay, my other question was, and I think Mr. Moore, as long as we can get his problem fixed, that's the main thing.
I think that we've touched enough bases here and I have a good enough working relationship with some of the staff that I'm happy that it'll be solved. I just didn't know if there had been a solution already worked out.
Okay, good.
I guess just if there is any meetings, just to add myself, I'm calling Orange with 497 Thames Street. Because
We share the drain, we share
the
that whole
same-
thing. The same problem between the two houses.
Yeah.
I'm sure staff will involve you, Mr. Orange.
And again, through the chair, landowners can, my number's on the top of the first page of the report. Make sure you call me. I'm one person, so you might have to leave a message, but I'll get back to you.
Thank you.
But I don't mind, like, it's only 5 minutes away, right? So I'll come in and see you and go over it. I realize no one wants an assessment. And when you look at your assessment, it's not whether like, you have to look at the assessment in whole. It's a project no one wants an assessment, but you're in a drain. You're in a drain that's been there since 1943 and now we're improving it. So you're gonna get an assessment. And I honestly believe that, all I do is drainage act, so I do a lot of reports. And I feel when you're on a drain in an urban drain, I wouldn't say you get a great deal, but you get a pretty good deal. If you did a local improvement, it wouldn't be this. Because the Drainage Act heavily assesses the town under special benefits and for their surfaces. So if you look at the town's cost, you know, they're picking up their special benefits and it's a lot of money. I realize you pay taxes in the town. I mean, it all works together, but it's as good as I could have got it. And I spent weeks on this and it's gone through another engineer. It's not like I just did this in a day. I spent a lot of time and that's why I know like Mr. or Mike, I think it's Brothwick. I understand because I knew his property. I know all the properties. And I know he has 3 properties on the drain, well, on different drains, and one of them is sitting right at the corner, right? So, and I did look at it because I look at the end, you can do an easy calculation. You do area divided by outlet, and on a normal drain, it would progressively go up. In an urban drain, it should be very similar. However, that doesn't account for branch drains coming in. So then you have to start to look at the branch drains and how you're assessing the branch drains, not the line one. So it's a lot. I mean, the drain report, to pick up a drain report, if you've never seen one, I think it can be a bit intimidating because there's a lot of spreadsheets. But again, you're looking, and especially on this one, there's a gazillion cost estimates because every drain gets every drain gets a scheduled assessment. But I put a combined one so you can kind of see it all lumped together rather than adding it all up. And then on top of that, now you've got the maintenance schedule. So it just keeps coming. But the maintenance are for when they come in the future, and maintenance on a closed drain is usually not very much. It's more like flushing. And if you're going to put a flusher truck out on this drain and you're going to flush for a day at $1,700 and it goes against everyone, including the town. The town is just a landowner like everyone else in the drain. It's administered by the town, but they don't have any more rights. But this is, I mean, you got to just take a look at your assessment and see if not whether you like it so much, whether it's fair. And if it's fair, then yeah, you have to stomach it. If you don't like it and you're not fair, then you've got these rights under the Drainage Act to appeal to the Court of Revision. You don't need to get a lawyer and write a big thing. You can simply say you don't feel you're assessed properly, but you got to come with some reason why you weren't assessed properly. And then if that didn't go that way, you have even more rights, and you can push it up the ladder of the Drainage Act. The Drainage Act has a tribunal, which means I write this report to go to the tribunal to defend it at a tribunal. So I have to be able to take my assessment, and when a board comes down on me, I have to be able to break it down to say what I did and why I did. And that's how I write this report. That gives you the right to go to the tribunal to appeal your assessments too. I just forewarn people, and we don't want people to deter people, but tribunal costs do go back the way the tribunal would say they go back. And a lot of the times it goes back on the drain. I wouldn't say it goes back on the person that appealed because they don't do that because it's, you don't have a lot of say, like you have a say, sorry, that you're getting an assessment whether you like it or not. So typically don't put it back on the one person, but typically it goes back on the drain. And typically it goes back in accordance with the schedule of assessment, unless you lie to the tribunal and they catch it, you'll get it all. And that does happen. It's hard because you got to catch them lying. But if you look at the old decisions, which we do, I've only seen it once or twice, and it was when they lied directly about a length, and it was quite easy for the tribunal to figure out.
Thank you, Michael. I think we'll leave it there.
All right, good.
I think we've exhausted all the questions. It's a little after 7. I've got a motion moved by Councilor Webb, seconded by Deputy Mayor McEwen. The report by Mike Garrett's Consulting Corporate, January 9th, 2026, regarding the Barnes Drain 2025 and associated branch drains be adopted as presented, and that provisional bylaw 9 2026 be taken as having been read a first and second time, and the mayor and clerk be authorized to sign the said bylaw accordingly. All in favor? Larry?
Better to have more information than not enough.
Go to the adjourn, sorry, I don't know if you.
I have another motion signed by Deputy Mayor McEwen and Councillor Rob Wolvette that the consideration meeting for the Barnes Drain 2025 and associated branch drains be adjourned. All in favor? Here. Mayor, I turn. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Also, I have a business card in the podium as well.
Thank you very much.
One,
Sorry about my arms. I'm trying sometimes.
Also, we'll take a 5-minute recess.
No, see, here,
Everybody, we're live, we're not. Okay, welcome back, everyone. I have a motion by Councilor Rodriguez, seconded by Councilor Bojan. That council move into an in-camera meeting of council pursuant to section 239 of the Municipal Act 2001. As amended for the following reasons. Item A, personal matters. Section 239 bracket 2 bracket B. Personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees. Item B, litigation matters. Section 239 bracket 2 bracket E. Litigation or potential litigation, including matters before administrative tribunals affect the municipality or the local board. All those in favor? That is carried. If you're watching this virtually, we are, as I said, going in camera, but we'll be coming back out and going through the second part of our budget proceedings.